And so it is, beloved masters. It is time to talk about the element of air. The energy of air is about movement, uplifting. It blends and combines, or it can actually set things asunder. It is associated with mind, thought, creative essence. It is about ideas and thoughts and ideologies. The air energy can be used when communication is involved, because certainly air is an element that's involved with communication, and often those that are air witches can use the air element as a little push. It isn't about forcing people against their will. It's simply giving a little extra energy to what is said, what is suggested, to express a desire and then feel in your solar plexus just a little push of energy that brings people to align with what you've said. It isn't about, as I say, overriding free will, but it is the nature of air to have that little bit of push to get people to agree, to cooperate. Very often, air witches are very good at bringing groups of people together, because the air energy can attract a sense of cooperation when it is positively aligned. Air energy that is not in balance can tend to set things asunder. And at this point in time, we have the amazing contrast of the Master John F. Kennedy, who was a Gemini, and the Master Donald Trump, who is a Gemini, and how their methods of using their air energies are so diverse. So the consideration of the use of air energy, when it is considered in a positive, powerful way, can be quite cohesive. It can be very attractive and binding. And it is that because that element is so connected with the energy of the mind, when the air witch is in harmony, when his or her elements are blending nicely, then what can be accomplished is a most amazing thing. The air that cools and soothes as breezes blow. And yet, when there is anger in an air sign, you may actually witness that the hair begins to blow. It may actually lift up. The objects that are not weighty in the general vicinity can actually begin to lift up and blow around. Now, most people are not consciously aware of how to utilize their elements. They may feel them. They may actually experience the sense of their element. But at this point in time, dearly beloved masters, you're just beginning to remember how to use them. Because the finite mind has been so much about control, the idea of mind control has been around for a long time. At least for the last 200 or 300 years, the idea of not wanting one's mind to be controlled has created a lot of fear. As there began to be the opening of the energy moving toward the Aquarian age, there has been a lot of fear about someone getting in my head and making me do something because they're controlling my mind. So that has set up a lot of the fear of allowing someone else to influence what anyone thinks, anyone says, anyone does. And yet, the ability to sway the mind is not necessarily a negative situation. One who is in clear alignment with the element of air can actually, with a sweep of their hand, rearrange thoughts of conflict and confusion and doubt, and bring a much more unified, peaceful, and harmonious collective. And absolutely the use of the element of air in a harmonious way is like a warm breeze on a sunny day. It feels wonderful. You may actually experience in your center, in your solar plexus, that feeling of how a breeze feels caressing your skin. But internally, it may feel like the warmth of the inner fire, the recognition of how lovely it is to be centered in self. Psychological programming is an element of the air, and it has been very subtly used throughout time. The Master Jesus could speak words that would calm the masses, and there have been others, such as Hitler, who could speak words that brought almost a hypnotic effect to masses of people. The subtle influence of words, not only the words that you say, but how you say them. When you speak, whether you are an entity that is a master of the element of air, or whether it is that you're simply utilizing the air element consciously. When you speak, feel the words that you say. The sacred center is the fire of love. It is the breath of God. It is the water of spirit. And so the air, the breath of life, can be brought forth in the words that are spoken. Or the energy of air can be like a destructive storm. When anger rises and the velocity of the wind power begins to accelerate and expand. So being mindful in your solar plexus, actually no matter what sign, what element you might embrace as the most powerful in your makeup, to feel within yourself the connection to how you align with that power. In the solar plexus, you actually can feel the subtle nuances of utilizing your element, of being one with all the elements. And it is, beloved masters, we speak of both the positive and the negative aspects of the element, and those who would listen only in fear may only hear what the negative aspects of any element may be. So, coming into alignment, into at-one-ment, feeling how you are using your energy. And you notice I don't use the word control, because control tightens the belly. You may feel the solar plexus, the area of the stomach, beginning to tense up. And when that area tenses, it shuts off your connection to your inner magician. Allowing the solar plexus to remain soft and flexible, pliant, so that you as a master can be in touch with all of the subtleties of how you are utilizing the elements, the power, the essence of yourself. And as you feel how the words that you speak feel to you, then you can be relatively sure that how others are receiving these words is going to probably feel good to them. But if you are saying words that you don't trust, that you don't believe, that you do not espouse, that you do not consider true, and you're attempting to say them in a way to convince others of something that you do not accept, then the energy of those words may set off imbalances that cause people to be confused, because the ego mind looks for any way it possibly can to confuse the situation. Because when people are confused, they're much more easily led, manipulated, and that is why we keep affirming, beloved masters, to be in touch with yourself, to be aligned within, is very comforting, yes. It feels good. But it also provides an amazing amount of protection and security, because when you are in touch with the inner self, the higher self, the spirit that functions in alignment with you as a physical human, and aligned with the spirit of creation that brought you into being, that brings you a greater sense of your own personal power. But it also, beloved masters, begins to make you aware of when that push that can come with the element of air begins to become a shove. When it starts feeling as though you are tensing around the words that you speak, around the thoughts that you have, then it is, beloved masters, you've moved from that gentle point of the persuasion of the energy of the mind to blend, to draw together, to create positive communication. And when it starts feeling as though the breeze has become a potential storm's pending within yourself, it is time to align, to calm yourself. Because feeling your power within yourself is a wonderful thing when it is for the highest good of all concerned. But simply feeling power to threaten, to dominate, to control is simply drawing, no matter what the element, into the conflicted energy of battle that is so strong on the planet now. So for conscious magicians to utilize their element well is to be willing to feel it, to study it, to put yourself in a place where you feel aligned with pleasant communication. And how does that feel? And how does the response of others feel when you experience pleasant communication within yourself? It can be powerful. And peace, I assure you, dearly beloved masters, is actually far more powerful. Love is the most powerful because as you're feeling aligned, as you feel the energy of pleasant communication, of a willingness to accept cooperation, to give it and to receive it, then, and this is in a quiet time, this is not when you suddenly find yourself in a situation. This is when you are quiet. Some might call it a meditation. But a lot of people, when they consider meditation, they attempt to do it intellectually, which can move the whole situation into listening to the ego mind offer limiting thoughts on situations that are now requiring a much more expanded consideration. So, an air magician that is in alignment with their own energy finds it much easier to think outside of the box, outside of your head, outside of the limits of ideas and communication that have been broadcast by air energy, but very often when that energy began to tip toward control, it felt so powerful that the person began to create ideas that could be, in the moment, captivating, and yet later on could potentially create confusion. So it is, beloved masters, to consider finding yourself in a place where the energy of mind, the air, begins to be stirred. Someone says something that you don't like. And for a fire witch, they may actually feel the heat beginning to burn. For an air witch, it may feel as though things are swirling in center. It may feel as though ideas are tossing around and around in the head, that you can't get a clear thought when the energy of air has moved to aggression or conflict, when anger becomes the controlling element. So, dearly beloved masters, finding the balance of the energy of mind in a quiet time when there is not going to be a lot of outer stimulus other than the considerations that you are making about situations where you have found yourself, both positive. This was a good situation. It was cooperative. It felt harmonious. I came away feeling that warm breeze feeling within, or the energy of conflict. They made me so angry. And you may find yourself in a vortex that's almost like a tornado or the energy of a hurricane. And it inside of you, you feel it inside. But to appreciate, to discover, to understand how to align that power so that you don't create chaos. Because right now on the planet, there are those who are aligned with the element of air that are out of alignment with themselves in center. And when they get angry, frustrated, upset, a bright, sunny day may begin to collect clouds. The wind may suddenly rise up when it's been very quiet and calm. And learning the difference by recognizing the feeling. This is why feeling is so powerfully important now, beloved masters, because the mind dismisses important points as coincidental, as having nothing to do with each other. And I can assure you, beloved masters, everything that happens is connected to everything else. It isn't what life brings you, but how you, from the inside out, are with that. How you align with yourself. The choices that you make, how you address a particular situation. The reactive mind, negative air, can go to worst possible outcome. Terrible scenarios, immediate defeat. There is an old reaction system that the mind just reaches over and pushes a button in the biology of the brain system, and hormones and all manner of essential electrical forces flood the body. So, disciplining yourself to feel requires that you come to old thoughts and ideas, and the element of air is extremely important in these times because humanity is being inundated with old ideas, belief systems, judgments. It's all airy. It's thought. And to understand how to keep yourself in positive alignment rather than getting, as the vernacular of so many people is, rather than getting blown away by the situation.